Hi, so welcome to Tie-Dye TMI. I'm Craig,
And I'm Kylie.
and this is episode number 1.
Welcome.
Welcome. So let's just dive right in. Being as this is kind of our inaugural episode, I think we should probably start off by introducing ourselves a little bit and also kind of discussing a little bit our vision for this, what do you call this, video thing?
I'm not sure what to call it, actually. So our name, Tie-Dye TMI, I think kind of signifies who we are. Aspirational hippies. And then also TMI is we share way too much information.
Like way too much, all the time.
All the time. And so I think... I don't know what to call it exactly because it's just going to be us offering up our experiences, whatever they are.
Well, that's a good question. Why? What's our motivation for doing this?
I know for myself, it's wanting to scratch at the edges of things that are uncomfortable for people and make that pathway a little bit easier for people. I was talking to Amber over Marco Polo.
Her friend.
My best friend. She just got married. And I was talking to her on Marco Polo, and I was telling her about how I don't have a whole lot to offer the world. Like I'm not great in one certain area. But I feel like me pushing.
It's not totally true.
So
Definitely not.
I feel like what I can offer is my experience. And I tend to do things that are different than a lot of other people. And so there may be people who are stuck in situations who can't be like me and push those edges, right? And so if we have more people pushing at the edges, it makes that way easier for other people down the long run. And so like I feel like our experiences, we try, and Craig likes to call it being out in the fringes. And
A little bit.
yeah. And so I think doing those things makes it a little more available for other people, and it can kind of maybe offer some help in that area. That's why I to do this.
Yeah, no, I think it's exactly on. I think for me it's probably twofold. One is that it's just destigmatizing a lot of these common human inclinations, human experiences, human desires, drives, you name it, that we all share, but we're often too afraid to either look at directly or to talk about openly, even among close family and friends. And so we want to be able to explore a lot of these topics, a lot of these experiences, a lot of these circumstances, and give our experience, knowing full well we can swear on this, right?
Oh yeah, this
okay,
is going to be
definitely
rated
gonna,
R.
like, we fuck up a lot, and hopefully through the process of fucking up, it's not even saying, okay, we want to fuck up so that you don't fuck up. It's just showing that fucking up is actually part of the human experience as well. It's about embodying everything that life has to offer, and not being afraid of, and it's okay being afraid of what's out there, but it's still being deterministic, being able to decide what you want to do in life.
Well, and Craig, you tell me all the time, fail as fast as you can, right?
Well, this is us failing as fast as we can. We're throwing out a video episode with very little equipment. We'll improve upon it.
We will, and I know it'll get better, but it's the fact that we're doing it, and then we're gonna learn as we do it. So like I expect this is gonna be really awkward, and I'm gonna hate coming back to this. Like I'm gonna absolutely hate it. It's gonna be terrible.
I'm gonna absolutely love it.
But I think it's gonna really push us. This is one thing that I also told Amber, is that by doing this, by updating you on what's going on in our lives and things like that, it's just another reason to push ourselves into the uncomfortable. push ourselves into things that we aren't necessarily the most skilled at, or that we still need to develop in, and things like that. And so,
well, I think that's where the TMI comes in though too. Like we want to, TMI isn't just too much information, but it's the whole concept around it. It's why are things TMI? And so oftentimes we're afraid to do things, and so this is us kind of pushing past that fear, even in doing this, and saying, why not? Why not just throw it out there and fuck up at this potentially, or be afraid of fucking up at this? And hopefully through that, some of the authenticity comes through.
That's one of the biggest things is learning to be more authentic, and that includes sharing your vulnerable parts and the parts that you are proud of. And
comedic nudity, is that part of this?
Oh, well, maybe.
Possibly.
I guess we'll see. I think we might. I don't know how much nudity can you put in something for YouTube.
I don't know. I could probably do a nipple slip. I don't know about you though. Maybe you can like take a picture of your nipple, put it online. That way it's your nipple.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that
we'll
makes
do something
sense.
along those lines.
So I think that's actually a perfect segue into talking about what are some of the things we're actually going to be talking about.
Yeah, so passing it on to me.
Passing it on
Okay,
to you.
so yeah, some of the things, so we're going to be talking about things we're interested in, things that we're currently doing, learning, past experiences that we've had. Currently, we're actually traveling around the country for at least the next few months, if not longer, probably longer. And so we're going to be leaning into a lot of uncomfortable experiences, a lot of new experiences. And so topics that we're going to cover are things like polyamory, or as I hate that term actually. So we're probably going to be discussing different types of relationships and how those function, how those work, things that we found that have worked and things that we found that haven't worked, probably more of the haven't than the have.
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely. What other topics?
So along with like different types of relationships, that also includes like lifestyle. And so swinging, I don't know if everyone knows terminology of what, so
We can do an episode where we talk about that.
okay. And so within that realm of like swinging, we've gone to swingers clubs, which have playrooms, and we've started to embrace and experiment with.
I just jump right into the TMI.
Oh, well, they're
Okay,
gonna
this
want
is
to
it.
know what
This
we're
is
gonna
it.
talk about.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot more context to this too. By the way.
Oh,
We're
so
gonna have
much
to do
more.
so
Like
much
it's gonna
an
be a
episode just
whole
on this.
episode on its own. But we've started to explore our exhibitionist side, and actually like realizing on my end voyeurism too, which makes me feel kind of creepy. But like that's the other part. I'm trying to embrace these parts of myself.
The voyeurism. See, I'm not as much into that as
Oh, I love
Wow.
watching people, and it not even the sexual aspect. Like, yeah, that's fine, but like actually just watching people when they don't think anyone's watching.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about bum chicka bow wow.
Correct.
Relationships, because I think that can go hand in hand, and it can be really deeply integrated, or it can be totally separate.
Yeah.
I think that's part of what we're going to explore. And a lot of this is, so my second point really fast is, a lot of this is just really kind of bringing to life normal conversations that we normally have, and just recording them, because we talk about this stuff all the time.
All the time, we're always having conversations, and there have been a few people that have been like, I don't know how you guys can talk so much. Like, do you ever get sick of it? And I can honestly say that I don't, because it's been so expanding for myself, and just learning the different viewpoints from Craig and just all of this stuff, and being able to have these open discussions has expanded my mind so much. Finally learning how to have different thoughts for the first time instead of just doing the same thing over and over again. So I think it'd be really cool, because that's going to expose more people to these types
Back
of
to the
conversations.
So yeah, and on top of that, I think so definitely aspects of sexuality, relationships. We're also going to be talking about traumas.
Trauma and shame.
And shame is going to be a big one. That's a topic that we're currently exploring quite a bit of, and seeing how much it influences our lives. and really impacts pretty much everything that we do.
Yeah.
Trauma, overcoming how a lot of our traumas, both in childhood and also we'll talk very personally about traumas that we've inflicted on each other as well. So how would you describe our relationship, or better question, how would others describe our relationship over the last 3 years?
Do we want to get into that right now? I guess just a little,
just a
screenshot?
Screenshot. Cliff notes.
Most people are not a fan of us when we are together.
Oh, they love us.
They love us separately.
Not together.
They love us individually. We have been all over the board, and really toxic and abusive, actually.
To each other, yeah.
To each other. But there is hope.
There's a big but there, and I cannot lie.
He's going to be the comedic relief.
So it's just all dad jokes. That's all I got.
I forgot what I was even saying.
Oh, you're talking about big butts and they can't lie.
No, that's
There's a big butt. There was a big butt though.
Oh, but there's hope.
There's hope.
That's what I was saying. Is we are actually learning how to change our habits and our patterns and our toxic traits, and we want to share that with people. Because when we were in the thick of it, Craig was looking up how to fix a toxic relationship, and the only suggestion out there is what?
Well, to end it. It seems like every YouTube video, every book, any article out there that I found was just, if you're in a toxic relationship, it's just end it, how to get over it, how to leave it. And now this isn't a justification for physical abuse.
No.
But definitely, we were in a pattern of pretty explicit emotional, verbal abuse even.
And verbal.
And both of us kind of employing the greatest horrible resources that we had at our disposal and just throwing it at each other. And so I think it took this very concerted effort to first recognize that our reality wasn't necessarily the truth, and to, as convinced you are that the other person just fucked up, it's stopping, pausing, and reassessing, and instead of being convinced by that, being convinced that your reality is yours. And so, which means taking ownership of us and our own behaviors and our own thoughts.
Absolutely.
And I think that was kind of a game changer for us. We still fight. It's still, it's a sport at this point.
Well, that's the other thing, is like, we're gonna get on here and we're gonna be like, this is what we're fighting about this week, and it really is.
Are we gonna fight on camera?
We might actually.
Oh, you guys might see that. That'll be a treat.
Yeah. That might actually be good to record us in a fight.
Yeah, it might be good.
Okay.
We'll try it. See, that'll be conflict resolution. It's TMI,
yeah.
for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
But I think not only are we offering up our experience, right, but I think that as we build up a community of people who relate to us and stuff, I think we're gonna get advice from them. I think that's gonna be probably one of the big things
and that's kind of the scary thing about TMI. So paired with TMI is the concept of vulnerability, and the reason vulnerability is so hard is it leaves you exposed. And so I think by doing this, we're kind of throwing ourselves in the thick of the fire of getting advice that we might not necessarily want.
Yeah.
And so that means being open to it and being I don't want to say self-critical, actually. Maybe self-aware and seeing what truth is there. And when we have different indicators for determining like what is applicable versus what's not applicable. Oftentimes if we get defensive about something, that's kind of a red flag for saying, oh, well, this is probably something I should look at.
Okay, so he's so great at spotting red flags, like better than anyone I've ever known. And he has taught me so much, so I think that's going to be one thing that we need to talk about. And you do like a whole episode on
red flags.
Is like red flags. Energy. And when to look at that in yourself. Red flags for yourself. Because then that's where you actually see where you need to start changing behavior and things like that.
Well, because you can never look at yourself directly. You always have to look to the periphery to see where do I have a lot of energy. And if I have a lot of energy around any topic, I think it's a valuable exercise to kind of question why.
Yeah.
Why aren't we just ambivalent to a lot of what happens around us, just observant?
Right.
So, okay, what else are we going to be talking about?
I thought of it right before you said that, and now I'm like, oh, ex-Mormonism.
Oh yeah.
So
hey, we're ex-Mormon.
We're ex-Mormon.
Hey, what's the signs? You have to get the,
the compass.
the triangle and the compass.
So that's
it's going to play a lot into probably all of our conversations, just because that's the context, it's the culture we come from.
Oh yeah, like that's how we were formed. Was through that religion.
After the boom.
And so that's going to be a big thing that we talk about.
A little bit of context on that. So when we left the church, I left before Kylie. So it's been about 6 years now, and I left in a big way. So created an ex-Mormon website, and really kind of dove into the history. Had a massive collection of books, and just studied all by Mormon authors, but just kind of studied the history a lot more. And so was able to use that as a deconstruction tool to be able to understand why it is I was raised to believe what I believed, and how I came to believe it for so long before deciding it wasn't true and it wasn't useful in my life. And so Kylie, you kind of came out in a big way too.
Yeah, so I was kind of like one of those, what do they call it? The steadfast...
Maya maid?
No. Like, even the most chosen will fall, right? Like, everyone was just like, I can't believe Kylie left the church. It was just like this huge thing because church was my life. Being a Mormon was my identity. And so, like, anyone that knew me knew how much it meant to me, and I just incorporated it into every part. And so when I left, I was not quiet about it. I was fucking pissed, and I was hurt, and I was betrayed, and there was just so much to it, and I just wanted to come out and attack and be angry. But I realized that, like, I didn't have enough understanding to be able to stand my ground in a lot of places. I've gotten better at that. I've gotten more information and stuff as I've left, but at the beginning, all I had to offer was my experience. And so I had a blog that I was doing for a couple of years before that about my travels and where I'd been and stuff that was going on. And so I just used that as my platform to come out and, like, posted it for everyone to read on Facebook and Instagram, all of that stuff. And it caused a little bit of a ruffle.
A riffle.
And so lots of people have seen my journey out of the church.
I think a ripple in the water and it ruffled some feathers.
Yes.
Maybe the feathers fell into the water and covered the coastal.
A roof ruffle. Love it.
Yeah. So ex-Mormonism is going to be a big topic of conversation, and try to take a little bit more of a balanced approach. I think both of us have been out long enough that we know where the actual harms were done and where we were actually hurt.
Yes.
So probably focusing more on that, more so than no, I'm still going to focus on the magical political things. We'll do a few episodes on Mormonism for sure.
Yeah. Well, especially because we're going to have an audience who's not going to know, like, anything about Mormons.
Yeah, maybe. That one person.
That one person. Yeah. He doesn't have a lot of hope for us.
I mean, we'll see. We're just going to keep it real. So.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Is that it for topics? So we're going to do this organically. We actually don't know the structure yet. Mm-hmm. We think we're going to find this out as we kind of get into it a little bit more. Yeah. But the whole idea is just candor. We want to be as honest as we can with ourselves, and this is just an extension of that. We're just trying to be more honest and vulnerable, and that's what we do in social media, and I think that we just want to extend that even further. And in that same spirit, to be honest, I think we're doing this more for us than we are for anyone else. Yeah, it's selfishness. Selfishness is a good thing. It's going to be a topic for an episode.
That's going to be a topic for sure.
Because I think it's going to help us to be able to not only get feedback, but to be able to talk through a lot of these challenges, issues, and by destigmatizing it, we're going to feel less lonely in the world. We're going to feel less isolated, and hopefully give others a platform so that they feel less isolated as well. And so that's going to be hopefully a byproduct of this as well. So,
I love that.
okay. Is that it? Are we done? How do we say goodbye?
I don't know. Or do we have to have like a sign off?
Signing off. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.